Hello everybody, my name is Bradley Cooper, and if you've been listening to the buzz going on in this country by the mass media, politicians, news outlets, and people reporting on what's going on in this country, you've been hearing that the biggest issue we have is gun violence, how so many people are being shot by guns, and that we have relaxed gun laws in this country compared to other countries that have more strict gun laws, how we are too soft on banning assault rifles, and we don't have strict background checks, so it's very easy to go to a gun convention across this country and buy a gun and then go and shoot a lot of people. So we need to strengthen our gun laws in this country. Basically taking away your Second Amendment rights, because anytime the politicians, may it be Democrat or Republican, want to better this country in their mind, thinking that, we're going to make this better, or we're going to stop this from happening again, it's always taking away the American citizens' rights, little by little by little, and they make it where they scare you, or they use big events that happen, not to make sure that they don't happen again, but use these events to get their agenda pushed forward. Now, two big events happened in the past month or so that have caused politicians, mass media, the news outlets to really go along with what the politicians are trying to push in Washington and different states, like in Harrisburg or whatever, passing these bills or trying to pass these bills to limit the gun rights that citizens have that have done nothing wrong, are not violent, and would never shoot other people with guns. So the first one happened in Buffalo, New York, where a white millennial went into a grocery store and shot up a bunch of African American people and either injured them or killed them. Now, the police went in and apprehended the gunman, but they did not kill him. When they went to the station to interrogate him, he basically said that I am a white supremacist, I am not a Republican, I do not watch Fox News, and I am a racist, and I want to stop the black people from taking over this country. Then, a couple weeks later, the same thing happened, but this time in a school, where a young millennial went into a school and shot and killed 19 students and 2 teachers, and injured students and teachers. Now, before we got information on what happened in the school shooting, politicians were up in arms and screaming. Politicians were getting interviewed like Ted Cruz by different news outlets. There weren't even American news outlets telling him that it's not right, that we have soft gun control or gun laws in this country, that we need to strengthen them more, and that we need to do something about this, and why don't you want to do anything about this? And basically people chirping about what exactly happened before we actually got the full story of what happened. Then later on that day, after the school shooting, Abbott, the governor of Texas, was making a press conference to console the Uvalde community, to console the Uvalde parents and friends and people affected by the shooting, to a national audience that was listening to him talk. And while he was consoling them, talking about the situation and giving out information about not having this happen again, and we're going to do more to prevent this, Peter O'Rourke, the Democratic governor for Texas, started screaming and yelling during the press conference to Abbott, saying, "You caused this problem. You are soft on gun control. You don't want to make stricter background checks. You don't want to protect these students from having this happen again. You don't want to do the right thing." And basically doing this to use it as a political boost and to use it as, I really care about students, where the Republicans and or Abbott does not care about that. Using this as a political stunt to try to boost his poll numbers up, because they're not really going up in Texas as they were hoping they would. While he was doing this, people in the audience, like the Uvalde Texas mayor and other people were screaming at Peter O'Rourke, saying, "Shut up, this isn't the place and time to be doing this. This isn't right for you to be screaming and yelling and using this as a political stage while we have grieving people in Uvalde, Texas and across this country. Shut up." And they basically escorted him out of the room, because these Democratic people want to take away your rights, want to take away the beauty that this country has, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights. So they're using these instances, these mass events, to agendicize what they have been trying to do for decades and push it along, where the Republicans, as I've said in multiple videos, are a bunch of pussies who do not want to step up and do anything to stop these Democrats from taking away our rights every single day. Then, a few days later, the police chief in that area came out and told exactly what happened at the school, to let people know that don't know all the information that went on. So, this young millennial shot his grandmother in the head. Luckily, she was able to sustain her injuries and she didn't die. Then the gunman went to the school and saw people outside of the school and started shooting at them to try to make them run away or go away, so they wouldn't, let's say, call the cops or whatever. Then the student walked into the school that had the doors wide open and nobody monitoring the front door to stop the gunman. Then the cops were called and they got there in a reasonable time frame. The cops then strategized, got back up, and did all this stuff outside of the school and never once entered the school for over 40 minutes. Now parents, the community, and different people are screaming at the officers to go into the school, go after the gunman. My child's in there. He could be or she could be dead. Do something, screaming at them. And they were getting back up, and the feds and all these different, units and personnel to go and then go into the school when they felt it was the right time or they strategized. Now, while the gunman was at large in the school, the police officers went up to windows and told the students who were scared, hiding behind doors, tables, chairs, anything that they could find to try to protect themselves so the gunman would not see them. The police officer said to these students, "If you feel that you're in danger or need help, yell, 'Help, help.'" Now the students did that, and that actually alerted the gunman, who was at large, where they are, because he could hear them. So the gunman went into the rooms where he heard them screaming and yelling, "Help, help," what the cops told them to do, and shot some of them. Finally, after about 45 minutes, the feds ran into the school and got the gunman and killed him, of course. So the incident wasn't 100% because of gun violence or because he had a gun, because the cops were lax on actually doing their job and protecting the school, and the school didn't do what they should have done to protect the students from having this gunman get into the school and have access to kill these people. But yet the Democrats want to use this as a way to push their gun control agenda, which they have been trying to do for decades. Now, you want to tell me, as a regular civilian that has never killed anybody, who has never done anything wrong, and has never caused a violent crime at all in this country, yet we see mass murders happening constantly in Philadelphia, Chicago, Detroit, and all these democratically ran cities, that all of a sudden they care about violent crimes, they care about protecting the citizens. Yet Philadelphia, which is about 45 minutes from where I live, has mass murders on a daily basis. Killings and shootings and homicides are up 100% from last year, yet they're getting worse and worse and worse. DAs all across this country in these democratically ran cities are soft on crime. They don't prosecute people to the highest level on crimes that they do. They're very relaxed on convicting them of any penalty, slapping them on the wrist. There's no penalties for doing half these crimes that these criminals are doing. But all of a sudden, the Democrats are for safety in this country. Yet they've been promoting being, terrible, disgusting human being since they've been in office in 2021. been pushing it. Even in 2020 with the mass, destruction that happened in Portland, Oregon because of what the cop did to a young black man. They've been using that and pushing that and not really saying that this is terrible, that this is hellacious, doing this destruction is bad. Never once have they ever said that we need to stop this violence in this country. On the contrary, they have done nothing to stop the violence and don't even care to do anything about it. Now, because they have a way to push an agenda, they're going to use it. Instead of using this time to help the grieving people of Uvalde, Texas, and in Buffalo, New York, and actually do something to stop violence. The other thing that they have caused in this country, which I think is bigger than the gun violence that they want to claim we have in this country, which we don't, it's because you want to allow it to happen and not do anything about crime reform in this country, is mental health. The Democratic Party has been fucking with people's brains, have been fucking with millennials, have been pushing this country apart, has making it where we should be racist. If you're a white supremacist, where Joe Biden specifically came out and said, if you're a white supremacist or you're a white person that goes against what I want to have done or the Democratic Party wants to have done, you are a white supremacist. You're the problem with this country. Dividing the country, propping up the black people, making it where black people are better than white people, saying that white cops are killing black people who are unarmed willy-nilly. They need to be prosecuted. They need to be taken into custody and prosecuted to the highest level, basically putting this country against each other, making us at each other's throats, screwing with people's brains, plus telling us all the different things in college, high school, elementary school, middle school, about critical race theory, about gender, about wearing a mask, don't wear a mask, do this, do that, you can't have this, you can't have that, and making us think and act differently than we ever had before in years because of their mindset that they're brainwashing us with to make us hate each other, to make us go against each other. That is why a lot of these shootings are happening from millennials causing them, not 60, 50-year-old people. Yes, they are causing crimes, but not as much as young people who are millennials are, because our lives are getting screwed. We have so much stress, aggravation, and problems that no other generation has had to deal with before. And no one's looking to help us. No one's looking to make our generation any better. So that's why we're going crazy and doing all these different things and acting out when we normally wouldn't act out, because we're being brainwashed and told to think a certain way, and we are being put at each other's throats by the mass media, who should be putting us together, trying to unify this country, trying to make peace in this country, trying to make us love each other, not divide us. And that's what they're doing, and that is why we have this problem. But they don't want to talk about it. They want to talk about gun rights. Take your rights away. That is not going to solve the problem, and it does not solve the problem with drug war that we've been fighting for years in this country. You can still get drugs willy-nilly. Taking guns off the street and banning them is not going to stop people from getting them on the black market. Get your head in the game. Republicans, do something, you fucking pussies, and stop these Democrats from fucking over our country.